It feels like a lot of stuff in life, whether it's school or work or hobbies, the less we care or the less we take it too seriously, really the better results happen. I think of this example a lot in my life, and this could probably apply to your life as well, but my relationship with creating content has been kind of rocky and weird. And there's this thing that happens where I don't know if you guys have this in your life or maybe it's just me, but really the videos that I put the most effort in and I put in the best editing and I do all the time and do all this preparation for, they all are shitty. They all do bad in terms of views and stuff like that. But on the flip side, I have a video of me rambling about video games where, that was just straight off the dome. That was my best performing video with over 4K views. And this really, really got me thinking, like, is this phenomenon normal? Like, do you guys watching this video see this in your life where, if you try less, do you get better results? I know that sounds really freaking crazy, but I've started to see it in my life, really. And I've started to question this. Is this normal or is this something that I made up in my head and it's all in my brain? And if you've noticed this trend, leave a comment below because I'm actually super curious about what you guys have to say. But really, with this phenomenon, it's so weird because if I went out on a limb and said, the less you care, the better the results will be, that just sounds straight up crazy in my mind. And I don't think that's really 100% true, but in my example, it feels true. And I like to think about this in school. Like if you stayed up all night studying for an exam and you get a worse score than some kid who's been skipping class and smoking weed and, hanging out with other people rather than going to class, it makes you think, is this dude just straight up smarter than me or did he put in more effort? So I put my lab coat on and I did some research and there's actually a psychological trick that they call the effort fallacy. And I know I've definitely become victim to it because basically what the effort fallacy is, it's like this mental mindset of just because you put in hella time and effort that your end product will be good. And at the high level, that makes a lot of sense in a fair world. If you put in more time and more effort, you should get a better result than someone who puts in less time and less effort. But reality check, that's not how our lives work. We live in an unfair life in an unfair world. And the sooner I feel like if we become conscious of this, I think the better we can feel about all of our situations. But on top of the effort fallacy, there is a quote that hit me like a goddamn truck when I heard it. Because really, it's so simple and it's so stupid if I say it out loud, but it feels so real. And the quote goes like this: if hard work led to success, the donkey would own the farm. And I know that may kind of sound like a clown quote or that could be cope, but it really gives me chills just saying it. It really resonates with me, guys. Think about how this applies to, my life or your life. If you or I are putting so much effort into something without really the quality being good, the end product is just going to be shitty. If I spend 5 months making a video that's hella boring about, I don't know, why is math so cool? I don't know, something like that. And I add all these cool edits and tricks and make it so appealing, the video would probably do shitty because one, the topic isn't interesting. No one would want to click. And then two, the algorithm probably wouldn't push it because no one cares about this math thing. But if you do, I apologize. I just need an example. And if you work in corporate, you probably see this all the time. I know in my corporate job, I know some of the hardest working people I know, they put in more than 40 hours a week and they really, really care about their jobs, but they're on the same level of the org chart as me. And if you know me, that's not really a compliment and that shouldn't surprise you. But on the flip side, you have other people who kiss enough ass and are in the right place at the right time. And you see these guys and they keep getting promotions and you're like, these guys don't know how to do shit. How are they getting promoted? And I find this so odd, and I always think to myself that these relationships are what gets you promoted, not how much effort and how much work that you put in. It's about who you know. That quote is really fucking true. And this is just, I feel like, a real life example of why this quote unquote effort fallacy is a real life thing. Just because you work the hardest doesn't mean you're going to climb the corporate ladder. Shit is crazy. And on top of this whole effort fallacy thing, I think there's another concept connected to this phenomenon that is so real, but it may be affecting even your life because I know damn sure it affected mine. and it is not fun at all. I feel like in many aspects of life, if we try to perfect something, whether that's something like a project or a process or really anything, it backfires in our face. When we chase perfection, when we chase that feeling, it's like we have this crazy tunnel vision that we fail to see the progress that we have made. And I hate using my YouTube channel as an example, but it's been on my mind a lot recently. So I think of it like this. If I waited to upload a video until I thought the video was absolutely perfect, all the edits were fire, everything, no space for human error. If I tried to do something so perfect like that, and especially if you're like a small channel like me, it'll probably take like months just to upload one single video. And if you're small like me, like I said, this really actually this doesn't even have to be a YouTube related thing. It could be anything. I have this quote in my head, you gotta be a volume shooter. And if you're unfamiliar with this and you don't really understand basketball, it just basically means that like the quality of what you're putting out or the quality of the shot doesn't matter as much as you just shooting. You have to keep on shooting, keep shooting so much. Eventually, right? One has to go in. If you're uploading one time a month, like I used to do, if you wanted your videos to explode, you better pray to the gods above that it's a banger. But really, this concept that I'm referring to is that really, like, chasing perfection is very problematic and it kills your momentum. And I don't know if anybody's heard this quote before. I think I may have came up with it, but it's like, if you throw enough darts at a board, one of them has to hit a bullseye. So you can apply this in your life. You upload enough YouTube videos, one of them will go viral. You shoot enough basketball shots, one of them has to go in. You paint enough pictures, one of them will sell, right? Like this can apply in a lot of aspects of our life. But to be honest, I really struggle with trying to chase perfection because if you aren't careful, it'll weigh on your conscience like it does on mine. And I don't know if it's just me, but really, sometimes I feel guilt, and this is not a good feeling. Like this self-guilt, if I'm not trying to like perfect a task, and I don't want to come off like as an entitled bastard saying, I do everything perfect, because that's far from the damn truth. But it's something that eats at my conscience sometimes if I know I'm not like putting out what I think is perfect. And at face value, trying to perfect something is not bad. But what I've realized in my life that is starting to become unhealthy in some aspects is that because I'm trying to perfect something, I do not act and I do not make progress on some of my tasks unless everything is perfect. But that is so like fucked up to think about, because in reality, there will never be a perfect time. There will never be a perfect product. It will never be perfect. And this can get really dangerous in our lives is if we refuse to take action because our situation around us isn't perfect. I like to use the analogy of, imagine if you had a dream, right? This dream is where you want to have a certain job, but you keep applying, you keep trying, and you keep waiting until the perfect company and the perfect role app opens up before acting on this. That will never happen because that time will pass you by, because there are no perfect times, to be fair. And there's this quote that I really like, and it applies to this. The consequence of inaction is always greater than the consequence from action. I mean, if we waste our lives just kind of sitting back and being a spectator and being idle, before we know it, we're all going to be, you and me, we're all going to be 80 years old, and most of our lives has passed us by. And I kind of realize that I'm really going off topic actually. And how does this relate to not caring leads to better results, like the core topic of the video? But I think this kind of plays a part on how our relationship with perfection subconsciously plays a part into this. But if we aren't perfection hunting, we aren't really putting out authentic stuff. And not to be some like yogi, really introspective kind of guy, master of the universe, but the universe, I feel like it can really sense if what we're putting out, what we're doing is authentic. Like if you think about it, if you try like faking it till you make it, I think there's some truth to that quote, but the universe can tell when you're faking your stuff. I really do feel that. It's not a Colby Rittman video without talking about this goat, Polly Walnuts, on YouTube, which he is like the realest guy I feel like on YouTube. And if you're watching this, you probably know who he is, but if you don't, he's had this meteoric rise on YouTube, and all he does really is he spits some real ass shit, real relatable shit, while playing COD. No one cares about what he's doing on the video game. He's just ripping zombies or ripping multiplayer. And if I had to guess, right, all of his audience is probably like males in their 20s or 30s, and we all have this nostalgia of the game, right? And that gives us a trust and a connection with him. And really, what he says is so fucking real. It's crazy. How can this random dude on the internet be living parts of my life that I've experienced? And it's actually kind of nice because it's kind of like a community, right? It's nice knowing that we are not alone within our experiences. But what really hit home is that as humans, we have this implicit bias in our lives, in our brains, that make us only, I swear this happens to me all the time, it only makes us remember failures, not the successes. So if we end up putting in so much effort into a goal and we fail, I mean, of course it's going to be easy for us to say, well, I put in all this effort. This is bullshit. I still failed. This means nothing. But if you don't think so much and you get the same result, you wouldn't be nearly as mad because you did it with your heart. And on the other side of the spectrum, if you do succeed in whatever you're pursuing, it may be making YouTube videos, trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Like I said, my best performing video, I'm sure I put in a decent amount of effort, but it didn't feel like that because I was rewarded with it being my best performing video. And on the same topic, I want to ask anyone who has made it really this far into the video, shout out to you guys to just listen to me rambling, man. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. But how do you guys personally deal with quote unquote failure? Because, I really try not to let it affect my mood because at the end of the day, my goal, my YouTube goal, not my goal of my life, but my YouTube goal is to be monetized, right? In a world full of shit going on, this is by far, like, I know I'm so blessed that this is my goal and this is my quote unquote problem. But it really makes me think, how can I not let my failures, my poor performing videos, how can I not let it truly affect me? And one last thing that I think relates to this phenomenon is this internal pressure that we put on ourselves. And this kind of ties back into the chasing perfection thing, where we put so much pressure on ourselves when we put in so much effort that we have to succeed. Otherwise, we'll be thinking back to what we could have done differently. And really, to be real, it just sucks putting this pressure on yourselves. It kills all the fun out of the hobby or the goal that you're trying to achieve. And it makes me think, like, why do I want to be doing something that I thought was supposed to be fun, but it's not fun? It fucking sucks. And I felt this with some of my hobbies, like making videos, where I'm like, dude, I don't want to write a fucking script. I don't want to do this. But it's kind of making the hobbies into a job. And how can we prevent this? I don't know. I'm kind of just rambling, but let me know what you guys think. And it makes me wonder, and I hope it makes you wonder as well, that if we take a step back, really a step back, and look at our hobbies, are we doing it because we actually enjoy it? Or are we doing it for some sort of like ulterior motive? And maybe that's not a bad thing to have an ulterior motive, but are we truly at our core enjoying what we do? But with that, everybody, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're on the road to 700 subscribers. So thank you everybody who has made it this far and for watching, and peace.